Tuesday, January 28th. Let's zoom in through our indicators and see what Bitcoin might be doing next from here. On the weekly relative strength index, we've been really paying attention to this uptrend that occurred in the past just before the big parabolic move. And we're comparing it to what might be setting up here. So the RSI will come up and then pull back, come up and then pull back. And it's what's going on in the shorter time frames that's going to give us an idea of how high up is this RSI going to go before it pulls back. So we're watching all the time through this now for this candle to see where is it going. If it's making its way up above these levels, it's really good confirmation that we're in that bull market that's going to just be crazy. As we zoom in on the daily and the 12-hour time frame, I'm still watching for the build-up and breakdown of trend lines. So here we had trend lines and trend lines on the way up. So we have a trend line broken, but we also have trend lines here, trend lines here. So I'm really keen to see how deep and how much juice this has. And if it's running out of juice right here, that's the kind of thing that we need to pay attention to so that we are watching out for this kind of top formation divergence setting up, just as we have right there. So let's see how this plays out. It's giving us an idea of what'll happen if this RSI is pulling back as prices are coming down. We've got some pretty clear levels now that if we are breaking down below those levels, then that uptrend is off for now. We'll have this really clear 1, 2, 3 level all the way along here that prices will have to come back to, maybe back to this level. And we'll see what they end up doing. We'll continue to watch the RSI as we're coming back to these levels. Let's zoom into the 12-hour time frame. So again, we're watching for this divergence to set up and comparing it to what happened over in the past. So as we're coming up to this kind of top, we did have a divergence later and prices broke the top formation as we broke this uptrend in the RSI. So we'll really watch to see what this RSI is doing here. Now we have the double top. Let's zoom in closer and see what the 4 hour is telling us. So we're watching for divergences here, and this is not a bearish divergence here in the 4 hour time frame. So if it does pull back to these ranges and the RSI on the 4 hour stays above these levels and consolidates, it will probably consolidate and go higher, and that'll pull the longer time frame RSIs along with it. In the shorter time frame, we could expect this to break and come down further before bouncing and going higher. So the 1 hour would probably go all the way down deep, and the 4 hour would go down to those midlines that we just talked about. And that's the way they'll oscillate. Let's go to the volume and see what's going on. How is that volume comparing right up against the edge? We do have a bit turning in here. It's good on the daily. We move into the 12-hour time frame, and I like this volume. That is not showing a bearish divergence in the volume here. This did not come up with weaker volume and puny weak like we did over here. If I drag this out here, we can see that it went from really strong volume to much less. This is pretty steady, so I like that. Let's zoom in just a bit more and take a few more ganders at this. Nice volume. It didn't just peter out at the end. I like it. It looks pretty bullish here so far. And of course, our 1, 2, 3 add-on was right there. That's our signal. We were talking about it in our Discord group. If you were not part of it, be sure to come over and join us on Discord. And if you didn't catch this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that we were talking about way back when, be sure to go over to the website and get the free training over there so that you understand this trading system, this 1, 2, 3 system. The trading plan isn't a secret. That's not what we offer for services over on our website. The trading plan and all of this training comes for free because it should be free. You shouldn't need money to learn how to make money. But if you want services that make this a lot easier, that's where we have some upgrades for you. Let's zoom in now on the MACD because this is wicked. Look at this, daily is crossed to the positive. That is huge, huge, huge. And it makes me want to err on the side of holding my long positions and keep my stop just above my entry and move it up carefully with a lot of space. I'm going to give this dog a lot of leash so it can wander back and forth on the path. But I know that we're going on a good path here because of this. This crossover here and that crossover there being higher is really huge. Now I'm going to zoom into the daily so that we can start to Watch these shorter time frames oscillating. They will oscillate through the uptrend. If I go back to that weekly view, we can see that through this downtrend here, just through this period here, we're going to go back now and look at the oscillations in the shorter time frames. But we have the oscillations in the shorter time frames here and the oscillations in the shorter time frames here. So let's go in shorter time frames, look at them oscillating up and down, up and down, up and down, crossing back and forth, back and forth. But it's the trend of that is the main thing. That middle edge that it has come up and is moving on that direction is the main thing. Zoom in now because I want to start paying attention to this double top. We do have a cross earlier, but then we crossed back positive. So that doesn't look like a top formation with that cross to the positive right there. Let's zoom into the 4-hour time frame. Looking good. I don't like this easing back though. It may need to ease back and oscillate and then go forward. And again, our support and resistance levels were here. If you did get in on our 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, as I did, and I put on a trade here, my stop is just above it. I haven't moved my stop yet. This is a very small move really in the bigger trend. So I want to give it the move. I don't want to be fighting back in and out. Take my profit, get in again, take my profit, just sit still. So the 1-hour time frame, it's already crossed, and we have the 1, 2, 3 top formation. This crossed in the middle of that top formation. And again, this will need to oscillate. It'll come back and it'll cross. Then the 4-hour is going to cross. Let's go in to the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly just to take a gander at it and see what's going on here. Let's go into the daily time frame. I think this has already gone bullish. Yep, long time ago. Bullish. No worries. These kind of wicks don't freak it out. It's going to give you time to go along this and take off. The 12-hour time frame also crossed negative and now crossed positive right there. We were watching for this. That's the buy signal in the uptrend off the Ichimoku cloud right there. Let's see if it manifests out and actually works. Let's go into the 4-hour time frame now. I like it. It gave us the buy signal earlier. Maybe that's a buy signal as we go out, but then we have the one, like this is one of the criteria. The cloud being green is a criteria. The price being above the cloud is a criteria. The trailing indicator coming and crossing through everything is a criteria. So those 4 criteria right there make up the mainstay of the Ichimoku cloud. But when we mix it with the 1, 2, 3 formation, it gives us a lot more context, a lot more perspective as to what we should be doing right here. So far, this isn't a strong signal for me, except that the 12 hours backing us up, and we already have our buy signal here and our add-on signal here. So again, it could pull back and then go up, and it's not even like that's just normal. Now, the Bollinger Bands are also really interesting. We're crossed above the weekly, and this weekly candle now is a couple days old, and it's growing. It's doing pretty good here. I want to go into the daily time frame because we are up above this midline, and we've come up and touched the second standard deviation. The third standard deviation is the outer line. We go into the 12-hour time frame, and this is where my studies really kick in because I want to pay attention to where the 12-hour touches in between the second and third standard deviations. It doesn't always mean that it's going to be a sell signal when it's up on the top of the third standard deviation, but when it is up there, I want to pay attention. Especially when we zoom in now and we can see that the 4-hour also was up into those ranges and now it's pulled back into the midland nowhere. That gives me more top formation feel. Just like this one, the 12-hour came back and it touched this mean reversion area at the same time the 4-hour did. Then the 4-hour went sideways before we went up. So we could go sideways here before we go down more. And I don't know, I am just watching. And of course, I've already went over our entries. We're out of this 1, 2, 3 and out of this 1, 2, 3. So the stop for this is still, for me, it's still below here. And then the stop for this one is just above the entry. And we'll wait and see. Let's zoom in a little bit more on this because the 1-hour time frame is looking pretty good. We have the 1, 2, 3 top formation exhaustion cutting through the midline. Right, so that's really starting to make that top formation there. And this is the very same time as the 12-hour and the 4-hour are at that mean reversion area. So I really want to study the closer time frames when the 12-hour and 4-hour are at the mean reversion and I can zoom into the 1 hour and the 15-minute time frame, the 5-minute time frame, and really get familiar with the way this top formation or the 1, 2, 3 actually looks. It's going to help all of my trading in the future. And let's take a quick look at Bitcoin dominance, which has been holding this level for the longest, most frustrating time as alts are just waiting to be taking off. This is the measure of alts taking off or not. We've got a few of them that did very well as we've come to this level, but most of them are just holding where they are. And if I bring this spreadsheet up for us, so right now we do have a selection of 19 coins on hold status, and many of those are actually pretty good to be getting into. They've pulled back pretty good as well, and they may be getting kicked out to exit status if the Bitcoin dominance actually goes up now as Bitcoin is doing its thing. We only have a few that are in alert status this minute right now in Binance, and 90 of them that are in neutral stance. A bunch more have moved back into near fail stance. We're at 23%, but these are where the opportunities are. The neutral and the near fails, though, as they come up and go through alert and make their way into hold stance, we want to be ready for them. We're not going to have much time. As this actually comes down and the Bitcoin dominance breaks, it's going to be done quickly. So this is the time to get prepared. This is the time to do that work ahead of time. The stage 1 of the trade, planning out everything you're going to do with that trade before the trade is activated and put on. This is the moment. And we have the answers for you. If you're looking for altcoin answers, hit the website, click on the link down in the description below, and you'll get access to many different spreadsheets that we can be helping you with. Super stoked to have you along. What to do with Bitcoin? Well, I think it's going to pull back from here a little bit. If it pulls back a bunch, it'll kick me out of my second position, but I'm just going to wait for it because I think it's coming back. My stop will not get hit. It'll consolidate and build and grow a larger ascending wedge triangle going on here. So it's just going to take some more time to mature, and tune in tomorrow. We'll go over and check out what's going on today's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin.